Welcome to On the Line with Jim Pyne. I'm Jim Pyne. This episode is brought to you by PLS Aviation, private aviation perfectly executed. Now let's get on the line. Today on the Line with Jim Pyne, I'm honored to welcome one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, three-time Super Bowl champion, one of the winningest coaches the game has ever seen, and a great guy, Coach Andy Reid. Coach, welcome to the show.
Jim, great to be on, man. Happy for you here.
Thank you. So we go back, Coach, way back, early 2000s, Philadelphia. I was thankful to play for you. I was the end of my career. You picked me up, and I was there. Had a great year. We went to the NFC Championship, learned a lot, and had a lot of great times, and really thankful for that. So it was a fun times.
Oh, that was good times. Good players, good guys, and good city to play in.
It was. One thing that always stood out with you, Coach, you got an amazing run, an amazing career. Philly, Kansas City is, your coaching tree, the guys that work for you. You really develop guys, and guys have gone on to do some great things. And, that's got to make you proud and make you happy. That's rare because not everyone does that.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate, man. Between the good players and the good coaches, it's been an awesome run up to this point. And the coaches, I'm so proud of those guys for moving on and being able to have some success as head football coaches and in any other roles they've been in. We've got a bunch of GMs that were with us, and they're out there getting after it. And so it's been a positive thing from a leadership standpoint for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I saw Coach Harbaugh, John's press conference when he took the Giants job. He referenced you. He said, I asked Andy, and you said, change can be good, right?
I felt that way. I thought we had a good run in Philadelphia and 14 years of it. And you know what? Sometimes change could just be good. I mean, I love the people there in Philadelphia. I love the people. I love Jeff Lurie and the organization, Joe Banner and Howie Roseman. All these guys were good people. But just sometimes your time is up and at one place, and change can be good for both sides. And so I felt that would carry over for John. He had so much success where he's at. He didn't quite get that Super Bowl win, but he was right. The second Super Bowl win, but he was right there chasing that thing. And so you're in that kind of a situation. Well, maybe he goes to the Giants and resurrects that thing up to a powerhouse and gets himself back in the Super Bowl where he wants to be.
Right. No question. And I asked him, I said, Coach Harbaugh, what's the best advice you ever gotten? That's anyone, his brother, his dad, this and that. And he said you. He said in your office in Philadelphia in the back, it said you had a sign or something that said don't judge. Coach, what does that mean? What does that mean? What did you mean by that? What does that sign mean that was in your office?
Yeah, well, I think we're here to be teachers, first of all, and as coaches and people in general. I mean, that's we're all trying to help each other to get better in whatever we're doing, and if you're judging people and not giving them an opportunity to express themselves in whichever way they're going to take, whatever direction they're going to take, then you have a problem. You can predetermine things that end up being false, and sometimes we think we're smarter than we are, and that whole bit. So I try not to judge until the person has an opportunity to prove himself in a positive way and be successful. I mean, everybody wants that opportunity, and so I'm there. In my life, I'm trying to give people that opportunity.
And that's again one of many amazing things about you. Again, I coached for a few years in the NFL, and some of the staffs and rooms you're on, the guys wouldn't let you in the room. Like, hey, you get out. Hey, you can't learn what we're doing. What's going on? So it was kind of weird. Like, I didn't feel sometimes people wanted your success to develop, but it's more of the self belief in the person that you're able to do that. You have confidence in yourself, self confidence that you can help another man do well and achieve that. So that your hats off on that. That's very impressive.
Well, your business that you chose and worked your tail off to be in early in your life here that's a tough business, and so I want the guys to make as much money as they can possibly make. It's short lived. It normally doesn't last very long, but make as much money as you possibly can. If I can give you a little cracker here or there to give you an opportunity to be even better than what you already are, then that's great. And that's kind of how I've approached it. I respect the game and how tough it is. It's you guys that are playing it, man. That's a rough sport.
It is no, and thank you. But it's rare. And another thing, I did a little research. When you took the job in Philly, at that time it was a religious locker room, right? And one of your first meetings, you said, "Hey guys," you said, "Hey, if Jesus Christ came in here, he'd be a middle linebacker, the toughest position." So to win over the room, you knew the room. The minister of defense, Reggie, was there a few years before, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that resonated well with the guys.
Well, at that time in the league, um, Philly had all this talent, and so everyone goes, "Well, they can't get over the hump because because they're religious. Bible bangers is the term that guys would use." And I go, I don't believe. I mean, I went to BYU. I went to a religious institution. We won championships every year I was there for conference, and then we were always ranked pretty high in the country. And so I'm going, well, you can be religious and still do your job. I mean, Christ was a pretty religious guy. He was a pretty tough guy. So and had to endure a lot of things, and so I just I wasn't feeling that was the reason. I mean, we really needed to bear down and get focused and all the things that you need to be successful in this thing.
Sure. And, one of the things, your three pillars: faith, family, football, right? I mean, I know that's a great slogan. I see it different places, but what does that mean to you, Coach? Those three pillars.
Yeah. So, family, I was blessed with 5 children. It completely ruined my body. My wife looks great. I'm not sure how that worked, but it happened. So, and then I've got 14 grandkids that we've been blessed with. And so
Amen.
family, yeah, that's a pretty big thing. And then faith is also big. I had a great opportunity. Um, you've heard of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's heard of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Well, they invited me to come up and be a presenter in their Sunday program and do a little reading for the 250th year anniversary of the country. It was back on the fourth, or it was actually on the fifth, and I just faith ends up being such a big thing, and the strength of it. It's a great foundation for people, and the great thing about football is we've got all different faiths, we've got all different races, and we all get together and we pull together and create this masterpiece of a game where everybody's dancing the same tune, and we put all that stuff aside and respect each other. I think that's important. So, but faith is obviously important for me and my family.
Absolutely. In transition, I think people listening would be interested. I lived it for 3 years as a coach. As 9 years as a player, but as a coach, the schedule you guys do, and I know it. We start with a Monday, Tuesdays, usually game planning, right? You coaches are in there. I know, Coach. I've read and stuff. You get in there around 4 a.m. and you like your time 4 to 8 because you don't get to bother too much, and then you guys stay late those nights, right? It's those are late nights. Wednesday, Thursday, you're installing, and then you're practicing it on the field, and then you guys are still meeting at night, late nights, midnight typically, or beyond. Then Friday might be a shorter day. You get home normal times, 4 or 5 o'clock, and then Saturday morning is a walkthrough, and you're either going to the hotel that night or going to the airport, right, to fly off, and then meetings at
Right.
night. And then Sunday's the game. So, what do you do, Coach? Everyone kind of does that. That's what they do in the league, right? What does Andy Reid do that's different on that schedule that makes you so great?
Yeah, I mean it's basically that. I mean what you just said there. I think making sure that you bring everything to a point there and do what you believe in and try to stick to that the best you can, but still let the players let their personalities show. So you
Right.
don't want to. I don't want to stifle the player. I want to make sure that their creativity shows through on this thing and on both sides of the ball and special teams. So, but I work that time. But anytime I can get with my family, I'm gonna do that. Any opportunity I get there. And now I'm older, and so we're empty nesters. But uh, still, I like spending time with my wife too. So she comes on the road with me, which is a good thing. I'm guaranteed I'm gonna see her at least on the road games. But
No, that,
It's tough. The season's tough that way for the hours, but I try to make sure that you do read the scriptures and then take care of the family when I have a chance to. So
sure, sure. Maybe ask it this way. Offensively, you're a great offensive mind. You have great offenses. You've developed quarterbacks. You've done so many things. I guess what do you do? Maybe you just do everything just a little bit better, more attention to detail. That makes you great. But is there anything specifically you do that you feel is different than what everyone else does, preparation wise, going into the game? Because there's a lot of great players out there, different teams, great coaches. But what do you
sure.
do slightly different and better than others? In your, I know you're a humble guy, so it's hard. It's hard to get this out of you, but I'm trying to get you
No,
to
but
say.
yeah. So listen, I've been blessed to have great GMs and to have great players like Jim Pyne. So as long as you're feeding the guys, the information and they're willing to absorb it, right? I've been around some of the greatest players. You mentioned Reggie White, one of the greatest, maybe the greatest defensive end to play the game.
Yes.
Brett Favre, Sterling Sharp, Brian Dawkins. I mean, you just start naming these names. These are all Hall of Fame guys, and and as you know this with your career, you're always looking like these great, all the great guys were looking for one thing to make them even greater than they were. The great ones, right? You lasted
Yeah.
a long time in this league, and you were striving. Give me something. Just give me something that I can continue to do this thing and be as great as I possibly can be. And so that's what's great about coaching is we can try to find those nuggets and get them to you and allow you to, maybe gain another couple paychecks, right? And inevitably win games. And so that becomes, I mean, that's important. Yeah.
100%. I
I don't know
remember
if
this
that
time.
answered your question, but that's got,
Yeah, that's you're a humble guy, Coach. I know you're not going
yeah.
to give me the edge. I know you got a lot of
Well,
things. You're just a smart guy who knows football and you know how to put players together. And I can attest from playing for you is you were a rare guy because the players love playing for you because you're a good man. You stood up in the room. You commanded the room and guys respected you and knew you worked hard. You were a humble guy, and people will follow that type of guy. And obviously, and don't take my word for it. Take the last 27 years. You've been amazing. So hats off to you on all that. I know the answer, but I just wanted to see if you had maybe a little tidbit offensive football. You're going to give me. Well, we on third down. This is what we do or something. But
let's give our fellow offensive lineman a plug, man. We know how to bring it together. How's that? All
that's
right.
right. That's right.
We'll
Yeah.
say that. All right.
Amen. No one knows how to bring it together, right? I always tell my wife, I'm a protector, right? I'm an offensive lineman. I protect people and help people. On the front line, I get my head hit, and I don't get any of the glory the guys behind me do. And I'm not a quarterback, and I'm an old
No,
lineman, so
well,
you,
you're
you
not
know.
a quarterback, but you're as close to the quarterback as anybody, and now you've raised one that's a
That's
pretty
right.
good football player, man. This guy, he is something special. So,
No, thank you. Yeah, we'll
yeah.
talk about him in a second. I was going to ask you a question on that, but I remember early in Philadelphia, I'd go up to your office at times, knock on the door, and I remember you had the treadmill and the elliptical there. You looked great. You had there right in front of the film projector. So you're multitasking, right? So that's something you still do. That you still walk on treadmills and watching film and all that.
I do. I just don't eat quite as much. I mean, in Philadelphia, man, people would bring the food to the office, and I'm just going, oh my goodness gracious, it's too much food, and I used to eat too much. So I've tried to work that. In Philly, I worked it so the off season I could play racquetball. So
Yeah,
I'd work out during the season, so I wouldn't like pull Achilles or something. And now I just I still work out and I enjoy that part of it. Yeah.
that's great. That's great. What do you do to keep the energy and enthusiasm going? 27 years as a head coach, like you're going into this 28th season. How do you keep your energy and enthusiasm going?
Yeah, I it's funny because you work like crazy to get to that 55, 60-year-old level and make sure that everything's okay. I've got
Yep.
things set up so I can live the rest of my life. And your whole focus is on that. And I think that's common in America. Everybody's trying to do that. When can I retire? And am I set for that? Then you get to that age, and then you start going, man, I'm loving every day of this. You have even more respect for every day that you get a chance to do it. Now I know that I'm on the down end of this thing, downside of it, but I love doing what I'm doing. Like you, I'm one out of 32 guys in the whole world that have a chance to do this and at my
Right.
position, and so I respect that, and I love doing it. And my guys, the players, I like that the whole group that we've got. Brett Veach has done a nice job of putting all these guys together, and it's a good group of guys. And the challenge this year is we were a little roughed up last year, and now we got to come back and do a better job. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, you'll do it. And I saw on one of the shows you have you four things on your ceiling wall in your office, I believe it is in Kansas City. Haven't been to it, but number one, eliminate distractions. What do you mean by that, Coach? What do you do by that?
Yeah, so it's eliminate distractions, create energy, fear nothing, attack everything. So the last two kind of fit together, and that's only why I mentioned those. But the eliminate distractions, we've all got them. All phases of life we have them. Every guy in the room, we're just microcosm of the world. Everybody's got issues
Right.
that they have to deal with. That's life. But when you come to work, let's eliminate that. Let's eliminate the outside part of it, and let's really focus in on what we've got at hand here. And I think that becomes important for life. If you're going to sustain a job and make a living and be able to take care of your family, and that you've got to be able to do that. Focus in.
Sure. And how do leaders create energy instead of simply demanding it?
Yeah. So you're going to be an energy giver and an energy taker. So you were in that position where you had to bring it every day. You're the transmitter between the right side and the left side, and you're telling the quarterback half the time what to do. So are you going to come in with with an attitude and be no? You're going to. People hate being around that, and
Right.
so I want guys that they don't have to be rah rah, but I want guys that are focused in, man, and tuned in, and they're bringing their energy with them to the game, to practice, to meetings, and and I think that helps you. That's the same way in life. I mean, people don't like somebody that's a downer. They want people that are that give you a little juice.
That's right. That's right. And what fears did you have, say, early in your career, Coach? You mentioned something
Yeah.
about
So listen,
55.
we all have fears. That's where these two things are going to get. We all have fears. Like, you know, people don't realize. You go to training camp, and I mean, I have guys doing those 110s. Remember the 110,
Oh, yeah. 16
the gas,
110s. Yeah.
yeah, 16 110s. Well, there's certain guys that are throwing up before that because they've got this angst, and so there's a certain fear of that, but they overcome it. And then the game's the same way. I mean, you know that. You get
Yep.
that knot in there and you're working through it and you've got that whole angst thing going. But you attack it. You kind of flip it around and you use that as a positive energy and you attack everything. You go after the guy over you. It's a man on man. And that's been the way it is for time. I mean, you start reading about the history of man and the wars that have gone on, and I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same angst and anxieties and all that stuff that took place. And how are you going to handle that? So you fear nothing. Well, we all have fears, but we're going to attack those fears, counter them, and not let them just settle and control us
Sure.
in a positive way. Positive way.
Yep. So, and, you've developed a lot of great quarterbacks. You mentioned Favre, McNabb, Alex Smith, Mahomes. Here's what I'm talking about. I sent you some film. My son, Michael Pyne, right? Coach. Thank you for everything. You've been great. You often respond first before anyone. I sent it to a handful of
Yeah.
guys. You're always there, encouraging, positive. But what do you think, Michael Pyne, my son? He's a young guy. He's going to watch this. It probably mean a lot. You say something good about him.
I know he's going to watch it because he's on top of everything. He's like a straight A student too, man. I mean, the
He
guy's
is.
phenomenal. So I like his strength. He's strong. He's got kind of your presence, but he can throw the ball. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't throw the ball. I'm saying he throws it for real back there, and and then he can also run. He's strong when he runs. So I look at that. I look at that lower body and the feet and how they're organized there, and can I bend and throw? Can I move subtly in the pocket? Can I see the field, which he does a great job, and he's a great long ball thrower on top of that, which most guys aren't. But and I'm saying outside the numbers, which is big. So but he maneuvers in the pocket and he sees the field, and for a young guy, man, that's special. And
Thank
he
you,
loves,
Coach.
and I think by the way he plays, I see him now. I mean, you send me the game tape, so I'm seeing him like tell guys, hey, like make sure things are right, organized there, and
Yeah,
on the offense, and he's not afraid to show that part of it. And then
yeah.
all he has to do is carry it over to that next level, and then he's good, and he'll have that trust. I know because the family, man, you got that Pyne name, doggone it.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a little while. I used to tell you
That's
humble,
right.
like you're a humble guy. My dad played my grandfather. We've been playing football for over 100 years, so
Yeah,
it's kind of the family business, right?
yeah, that's right. All head crackers too, right?
Yeah, all
Huh?
linemen. Yeah, all linemen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
He's a
Yeah,
he's a
but
quarterback, so
yeah,
we're trying to evolve into maybe something a little little different. But he's a quarterback that knows what a lineman is. He was raised by a lineman, so
that's
it's
right.
not
That's what I'm
gonna
talking
change.
about. He
Yeah.
respects the boys. Yeah,
Yep. And then, Coach, you brought her up earlier. Your wife, Tammy Reid, amazing lady. I remember on every plane ride, she was there. Did the fur coat in Philadelphia. She was always at the team functions. Good energy. Just a really nice lady. And I've been around other teams and stuff. You didn't see that, and her presence was great. I guess. What has she meant to your career, and what does she mean to you? Obviously, a lot of it. I
yeah.
understand.
I normally cry every time I talk about her because she's like the head coach of the head coach. But I've known her forever, so I love the way she goes about it. You talk about an energy giver now, man. She's constant energy. I mentioned, that she looks great. I mean, she had the 5 kids, and somehow I've got the jelly belly. So but she looks great, and she juggles all these grandkids now, which is amazing. But as far as my career, she's always been there. She was there when I played, and then she's there when I'm coaching, and she loves the players. She loves players, gals, significant others, and wives, and all their kids, and everything else. So she
It's great.
shares all that. Yeah, yeah. Brings a little
That's
bit more of that family atmosphere to it.
Yeah, no question. And I remember back too when I got into coaching. I believe it was when I was coaching. We saw one of maybe the Senior Bowl or something. And I worked for Jim Haslett, John Gruden, different guys. You worked with John in Green Bay, I think. And one of the comments he said, "Ask John who would turn the lights on and turn them off." What was the story there, Coach?
Yeah, John and I were young coach. We were two youngest guys on the staff, and so we would race to the office, and he was an early morning guy, and but we were both working, and we bounced stuff off each other all the time, and excuse me, we bounce stuff off each other all the time, challenge each other. Mike Holmgren had a way about it where he would allow us to do this. I mean, and Sherm Lewis. Sherm Lewis never stepped in the way of it. Sherm was a coordinator. He kind of promoted it, and it was a great learning atmosphere. John's a brilliant football coach. It was a great learning atmosphere that we had, and a great friendship that we developed.
Sure. What's maybe a story from those Green Bay days that no one's ever heard or something? I mean, those are great teams. I used to hate playing against the Packers. Reggie White was the best guy I've ever seen played against strongman. But what's some of this funny story from those years?
Yeah, I listen. I mean, I coached Brett Favre, and man, there are a lot of stories, but I can't tell them. I mean, I can't. No,
It's a
no,
family show, Coach. I
yeah,
gotcha.
family stuff. Yeah, no. Listen, it was fun. Reggie White was unbelievable. We used to have this tight end named Ed West, and
Oh
Ed
yeah.
was an older guy on the team, veteran. Ed was one of the great blockers in the National Football League. He was about 6'1", but and just you would never think that he was this guy, but he was so dirty tough that I can't tell you. He was from Auburn, and he you wouldn't have ever guessed that he would play in the league. So, but he knew how to hold. But anyway, so the offensive line are doing their 1-on-1s, and we were standing there for 7-on-7, and 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 Reggie's like slinging guys. He's just slinging these
The hump,
offensive
yeah.
tackles out of the way in these 1-on-1s, and Ed goes, "Man, you can't do that. You can't do that with me." he took Ed and did the hump move. And
Yeah.
he took Ed. Ed was probably 260, 250 pounds, somewhere in there, 260. He took Ed and threw him about 10 yards backwards. And the look on Ed's face, it was priceless. It was just one of those priceless times on the field where we were all gut laughing. The whole team had just stopped and, watched this thing, and it was a beautiful deal.
Yeah.
That's about that. That's a good family story. That's a good
Yeah,
one for me.
I like it. G-rated. I like it.
Yeah.
Reggie White is a funny story with me. I played against him in Tampa, Detroit, and I get to Cleveland as a lineman too. And Reggie's wife was from Cleveland, and he was done playing, thank God. And he,
Yeah.
he he came to camp one day, and he's walking around. All us linemen are like, "Oh, there's Reggie White. There's Reggie White." It probably one of the highlights of my career, coach, is we're standing there, all the
Yeah.
linemen, and he goes by. He goes, "Hey, Jim, how you doing?" I was like, he remembered me, right? He
Yeah.
remembered me. So I felt like, all right, I accomplished something. Reggie White knew who I was.
That's
He was a
right.
great
That's
player,
right.
a
You know,
legend, great player.
yeah, I've got a good Reggie White story that's also clean. So it's, I mean, Reggie walked he walked what he talked and did that whole thing. He was a great guy, and I ended up being real close with him. So, but and and then going to Philadelphia, he come talk to the team and that. So we're in Green Bay, and we're flying down to play you guys at Tampa,
Hmm.
and we have one of those thunderstorms. And I mean, I'm in the back of the plane because Mike would have the assistants go back there and interchange it, So it was my week back there, and I mean, it was brutal. That plane was rolling, man, and guys were gagging and the whole deal. Leroy Butler, who's still living, Leroy and a Hall of Famer. Leroy was back there and he was crying. I mean, he was just crying. And Leroy was always getting after Reggie about being so religious. He just needled him about being religious, and Leroy was crazy. So Leroy's back there crying, and Reggie's sitting in front of him. Reggie turns around. He goes, Leroy, you believe in him now, don't you, Leroy? And and uh, and Leroy goes, I promise I'll be good if we land. I promise. I promise. If we can land this plane, tell him, Reggie, tell him. So, but
I
anyway,
love.
another classic moment.
I love it. We were probably playing at the plane turned around and went back to Green Bay.
Yeah,
That was
yeah, yeah,
probably us praying the other way. So that's funny.
yeah, yeah. No, big Reg.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So I got the last few questions, Coach. Really appreciate it. I mean, again, best player you ever coached. I know you've coached a million. So do you have a best?
Man alive. There's too many. I mean, it's too many. I mean, Jim Pyne. How's that? I mean, let's
Good
go, man.
answer.
Let's
Let's go.
roll. Let's
Let's roll. All
roll.
right. All right, here you go. Hardest defense to game plan against. What's the hardest defense you think out there?
Yeah. So they're right now. Denver's rolling. I mean, their defense has done a nice job, and so it's I think that's their strength. But New England does a nice job likewise, and uh, Vrabel's a heck of a football coach and does a nice job with that thing. Takes a lot of
Great.
interest in it. So,
Sure.
but they're just there's so many good ones in this league. The parity is like stupid,
Right.
and that's what makes it so fun because the challenges of those things, trying to work your offense versus their defense, and the whole game plan, the chess match.
Sure. Sure. What's the favorite play you ever called? Do you have one?
Well, the last one that won the Super Bowl was pretty good, so I'll take that one for right now. I mean, there've been a lot of them. Over the years. You accumulate so many things that in these games. When I say there's parity, there's also the point differential in games
Right.
is so low. I mean, over 50% of the games are determined by 7 points or less, and it's crazy how this whole thing has come together for the commissioner and the NFL. They want every city to have an opportunity, and they do now. So
Well, and then getting offside on business, then gambling, gaming's allowed now. So I mean, it's a business there, Coach. Right? You're
yeah,
coaching
no,
football. We're playing, but this is a business.
they were all setting it up for that, I guess. Maybe they saw into the future.
What's the best coaching advice you ever received?
Yeah, you know what? Lavelle Edwards, who was my college coach, Hall of Fame coach at BYU,
Yeah, of course.
he said when you go to the head, well, this is when he was kicking my tail out the door. He goes, when you go to the head coach with a problem, have a well thought out answer, and he might not accept it, but at least he knows you thought about the question before you presented it to him and the
It's
situation. And
it's great.
so I've used that in my life. I mean, in marriage and dealing with my kids and everything else, just try to make sure that I've thought through. Take a minute to kind of think through what you're going to spit out there to them.
That's great advice. Listeners and stuff. I'm in business, and people come to you with a problem. That's something I tell people. Hey, come with the problem. Come with an answer too, or some answers, or some thoughts there, so we can work it out. Don't just give me a problem and let me. Everyone's busy, right? So come with a solution. That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Which assistant coach made you laugh the most?
Probably Sherm Lewis. Sherm Lewis he was a funny guy. I mean, really funny. He'd make me. We were racquetball partners for 7 years, so I just um, but he would get me laughing just for that voice of his. Funny guy.
Well, that's great. That's great. How about favorite road stadium?
Um, the toughest one's Seattle. I mean, that's the loudest.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty tough one, and it's kind of tucked up in there in the far northwest there. So it's always a long haul to get there, and they're always a little bit crazy, and sometimes that weather's a little fickle up there.
That's right. Yeah, the 12th man. It's a different time zone. Everything. You're way up there. It's raining probably, and that is a
Yeah,
tough place. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So last couple. What still excites you about coaching?
The challenge, teaching, the players. I love all that stuff.
Sure.
I'm listen. I'm having to look at myself as we do this podcast up in the corner here, and I'm old, but all the players kind of are that same age, and so they just kind of cycle through, and then I get a chance to see when they're old and older, and then I can razz them a little bit. But the guys that I have, I'm dealing with that same age group. So until I look in the mirror, I still think I'm like 30. So
That's right. You look
it's
great,
fun.
coach. You look great. I guess last one. When it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered or thought of? Coaches talked about.
Yeah, someone that was honest, a good teacher, and I'm good. I'm good with that. I think through life, I'd like that to be, you know, the best, or to be known that way. In all my dealings.
100%. And you're definitely that, coach. I can say that you're a great man, and congratulations again on all your success. And I appreciate the time and the help with my son and family and things. That's amazing. And best of luck this season. And I'd love to do it again sometime down the road and stay in touch on everything. But thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, listen, keep flying, man. I know where we're at and where we're going, man. You're doing a great job with everything. So.
Thanks,
Um,
coach.